It's Capital Region Sports Saturday with Brady Farkas, sponsored by Mohawk Honda.
On this Halloween, the New York Mets are back from the dead. The Mets take Game 3 against the Royals yesterday in the World Series. They now trail 2-1 in that World Series. Happy Halloween, everybody. Capital Region Sports Saturday. I'm your host, Brady Farkas. The Mets beat the Royals. The reason why, the Mets finally took the aggressor role. They came out swinging. Noah Syndergaard sent the message right on the first pitch of the game.
The clubhouse today, I was like, well, how do you feel about high and tight for the first pitch and then curveball for the second one? So I feel like it really made a statement to start the game off, knowing that, hey, you guys can't dig in and get too aggressive because I'll come in there. Noah
Syndergaard was not afraid to come inside yesterday. He did it on the very first pitch of the game. As he told you, he went to Travis d'Arnaud when he got in the clubhouse. He said, how do you feel about going high and tight? He said, I want to make the Royals uncomfortable. All series long, we've heard about how the Royals were going to make the Mets uncomfortable. They were going to dictate the tempo. They were going to push Daniel Murphy off the plate. Well, Noah Syndergaard turned the tables yesterday on Kansas City, and he said, no, today I am going to make you uncomfortable. And that is why, that message is why the New York Mets are not dead in this series. There's three kinds of people in this world, okay? Three kinds of people in this world, three kinds of people in sports. There are people who get hit and do nothing, people who get hit and fight back, and people who hit first. And yesterday, the Mets hit first. And that is why they were able to win that game yesterday. They still got down. They were still down 1-0. They were down 3-2, but they never gave in because they knew that they had a guy on the mound who was willing to send a message, and that gave the Mets confidence that they could play. The Mets finally dictated the game themselves and did not allow the Kansas City Royals to play the game at their pace. And Syndergaard, even after the game, he wasn't backing down on it.
I certainly wasn't trying to hit the guy, that's for sure. And I just didn't want him getting too comfortable. I mean, if they have a problem with me throwing inside, then they can meet me 60 feet, 6 inches away. Got no problem with that.
If they have a problem with that, they can meet me 60 feet, 6 inches away. I love it from Noah Syndergaard. He throws the first pitch yesterday of Game 3 of the World Series, high and tight at 98 miles an hour, up and in, past d'Arnaud, right up around Alcides Escobar. Look, obviously he said he's not trying to hit him. You don't want to see the ball up around the guy's head. But I love the message that Noah Syndergaard sent to Alcides Escobar, a guy who's been a catalyst at the top of the lineup. You saw some choice words on the Fox broadcast that Mike Moustakas was saying in the Royals dugout. Noah Syndergaard was instantly in the Royals' head from the first pitch. Again, the Royals still came back. They still had a 1-0 lead. They still had a 3-2 lead. But the Mets, they did not back down yesterday, and Noah Syndergaard is the reason why. And Noah Syndergaard almost single-handedly has helped the Mets get right back into this series. 2-1. Mets trail the Royals. Game 4 tonight. You can hear it. 104.5 the team. Another reason why the Mets aren't dead, finally, the Mets got production from people in their lineup outside of Daniel Murphy and Curtis Granderson, and David Wright was the guy. David Wright caught a lot of flack this week for being in the lineup, period. Some fans wanted to see Juan Uribe starting at third base. Some people wanted to see David Wright out of the 2-hole and move down in the order. Well, David Wright yesterday goes 2 for 5, a home run, 4 RBIs, and getting back on track for David Wright gives this lineup length. This gives this Mets lineup length, and that is a huge thing against this Royals pitching staff. You can't have easy outs in the middle of your order. David Wright had been one earlier in this series, but yesterday, David Wright gets back on track, and Terry Collins told us just how important that was.
It did a lot for both of us. Certainly, David's been struggling. He never makes an excuse. He's got to swing better. He knows that. Big hit for him, big hit for us. Got him going, and then a big hit later in the game. Off Herrera. So I said before the game, we get our offense going a little bit, we play better baseball.
Well, that's usually how it goes. You get your offense going, you're going to play better baseball. David Wright, a home run right away in the bottom of the first inning, gave the Mets a 2-1 lead. They relinquished it. We're down 3-2. They come back and win it 9-3. David Wright, a 2-run homer, and then a 2-run single off Kelvin Herrera, who was really an invincible Royals reliever up until this point. One of those vaunted Kansas City relievers. David Wright was able to turn around his fastball and take it into center field for a 2 RBI single later in the game. David Wright, if he can hit again tonight and through the rest of the series, he gives this Mets lineup a huge dimension that they have not had. Capital Region Sports Saturday brought to you by Mohawk Honda. I'm your host, Brady Farkas. We do this every Saturday, 9 to 10 a.m. I tell you what, there might be something brewing out there in Troy. RPI hockey, they're only 2-4. They're only 2-4, but they beat Union yesterday. And not only do they beat Union, they dismantle their crosstown rivals. A 5-1 win over Union on the road at Union in their barn, on their rink. They win with a 4-goal first period. That's the ECAC opener. RPI, they might have something. We're going to bring on RPI captain Chris Bradley here in 1 minute to talk about that game. Chris Bradley, RPI captain, coming on in 1 minute. So RPI, they're 2-4. They beat Union 5-1. RPI's schedule, they are battle-tested. RPI's schedule, they have played some of the top teams in the country, and they are ready for conference play. Their record may show 2-4, but I think RPI has got something special going on this year. Chris Bradley will tell us about that now in 30 seconds. RPI, one of the things you could tell about them, about what makes them special potentially, is that they're willing to do the little things. They are willing to do the little things like block shots. Seth Appert after the game.
I thought Jace was very good. I think I'd rather go our performance with the guys in front of them blocking shots. I think our the two games that we've won, and really all the games, our will as a group to block shots. There's no other, there's nothing more that says you love your teammates than doing that, because it's miserable.
It is miserable to block shots, stand there and take the puck off the body. RPI willing to do that last night against Union, earlier in the season as well in their win over Boston College. RPI may have something special. They beat Union last night. Chris Bradley, RPI captain, now joining us, Capital Region Sports Saturday. Chris, congratulations on the big win last night. How do you feel about playing your arch rival to open up conference play?
It's great. I truly believe that the RPI Union rivalry is one of the best in college hockey, if not the best. I mean, you see it every time that the two teams step on the ice together. The no blood loss is something special, actually, to go out there and play against. And you see the passion in the fans, and we have great fans that come and support us at their rink and at ours as well. So it's something special, and there's no other team I'd rather open up the ECAC with against.
Chris Bradley, RPI, senior defenseman, on the phone with us, Capital Region Sports Saturday. Chris, take us on the ice. You guys played Union just last night, but what are the keys for you guys to come out and get a win today?
I think we need to focus on ourselves, mainly. As much as we want to realize who we're playing and, know it's Union, emotions are going to get high for sure. So I think if we can stay even keel and just treat it as just another game and come out with the same passion that we would for any other team, I think that's going to be a big key. We just need to focus on our process and trust our process in the end. We should be, on the top side.
You guys were at Union last night, but you get them at home tonight. Chris, it's Halloween. What do you expect the environment to be like in your barn?
Well, we have the best fans in college, and they support us in a tremendous way. And to have it on Halloween and that, it should be a lot of fun. It should be a packed barn, and they should be going crazy. So I'm excited for it.
You guys beat number 1 Boston College earlier in the season. Union beats number 3 Boston University on the same weekend. We hear a lot about how Boston is the best area for college hockey, but that's pretty cool here to have the Capital Region come up with 2 big wins like that on the same weekend, right?
Yeah, I mean, those are 2 great teams, and, we played well that night, and I'm sure Union did the same. So Boston Union are great teams as well, and it should be a great.
It's Capital Region Sports Saturday, brought to you by Mohawk Honda, your number 1 volume dealer in the Capital Region. On the phone, RPI senior defenseman Chris Bradley. Chris, you guys struggled out of the gate this year, but your early season record has been misleading, hasn't it?
Right. I mean, we're playing the best teams in the country, and we believe that we're one of the best teams in the country, and we may not be there right now, but we're making our way there. And we got to, like I said before, trust in our process, and that's a season-long trust that we have. So to play some of the best teams in college hockey, it's a great test early for us. We get to compare ourselves, see where we're at, find our strengths, our weaknesses early, and then going into league play, we can make those adjustments and act accordingly.
I was going to let it pass the first time you said trust the process, but I know you guys have been working with Brian Cain, one of the top sports psychologists in the country, a guy who I've actually met, had dinner with, who I've learned all his stuff as well. How much of a help has Cain been for you guys?
I mean, the passion and enthusiasm that guy brings, every single day in his life, and especially when he's with us, that we can see it firsthand. It's truly amazing. It's hard work to be able to do what he's doing, and when he gives us these tips and things to work on, it's important that a team works on them, because they help. They're proven, to help, and you just see the passion that he has, and you can say to yourself, wow, look at this guy giving as much passion, so we can learn something from that, and I think it's only beneficial that our team's working with him.
Well, I'm telling you right now, the key is to stay in the present moment. That's what you guys need to do this weekend here. That's what Cain would tell you. So I'll give you a little bit of a free classroom session right there. Chris Bradley, RPI senior defenseman, with us. 104.5 The Team, 104.5theteam.com. Chris, it's your last crack at Union. You'll get him later in the season as well, but it's your last conference cracks at Union here this weekend, in the regular season at least. Best of luck. Enjoy it, and have a good weekend.
All right. Thanks for having me on, Brady.
Thanks, Chris. Absolutely. Anytime. Look forward to talking to you again soon. RPI beats Union 5-1. Game tonight. Houston Fieldhouse on the campus of RPI. I tell you what, Brian Cain, that's a name that you should know if you're an RPI hockey fan. Brian Cain is off the record here, or off the rails here for a second, is one of the top sports psychologists, mental conditioning coaches in the entire country. Started out as a baseball player, University of Vermont, kind of flamed out a little bit because he had the physical tools, but he didn't have the mental fortitude to compete at that level. He is a guy who is working with some of the top athletic departments in the country, the top teams in the country across several sports, and a guy who I am very fortunate enough to have met. Backstory: I was working at Norwich University a few years ago, and I was coaching baseball there. And Brian Cain played at UVM's from Vermont. He came and spoke to our team, and he gave his spiel. And I tell you what, the things that he talks about staying in the present moment, about playing the game one pitch, one play, one snap at a time, whatever sport he's catering to, is really, that is high level stuff that some of the top athletes in the country are using. He works with professional teams. He is a guy who, if you're an RPI fan, you should be happy that your team's latched on with him, because I truly think that Brian Cain and sports psychology and mental conditioning can take a player who's average and make him good, can make a good player great, and a great player to one of the top players in your league, your conference, or in the country. A guy that I have had a chance to talk with, to correspond with, to text with, because I obviously, some people don't know, I coached baseball at Hudson Valley Community College for the last 2 years, so I've used his training with our guys over at Hudson Valley while I was there, and it's great stuff. So it's cool to see that he's got a presence here locally, that RPI and Coach Seth Appert have embraced that. So, Capital Region Sports Saturday, brought to you by Mohawk Honda, your #1 volume dealer in the Capital Region. Section 2 soccer, crowning sectional champions this afternoon across some classes. Everything you need to know. Jess Kohler of the Albany Times-Union joins us next.
It's Capital Region Sports Saturday with Brady Farkas, sponsored by Mohawk Honda.
On the phone right now with Jess Kohler of the Albany Times-Union, breaking down Section 2 soccer. Jess, you're going to be at the Class C and B boys finals this morning and afternoon at Colony High School. Tell us about those matchups, and what are you expecting out of these games?
Class C, Greenville, number 5 seed against the number 2 seed Greenwich. Greenville kind of surprised everybody. They beat the number 1 seed Maple Hill in the semifinals, who was ranked number 1 in the state at the time, and they were 18-0 heading into that game. And, that was a big surprise to a lot of people. Sam Statham, Greenville senior, he had 2 goals in that game. But I'm expecting Greenville to beat Greenwich. I think it'll be a close game. Greenwich is a very good team, but Greenville comes out of the Patroon, which is always a very strong conference, and I like them to win the title. Class B, Chalmont has rolled throughout this entire season. They're number 2 in the state. They're unbeaten. I don't see Broad Alban Perth giving them a big test, but, Chalmont has lost in the last 2 sectional finals to Ichabod Crane. They just don't have a single weakness on the field, and their offense is so high-powered. Their midfield is very strong with Cam Lavalley, Ben Pearson, and R.J. Hayden, and they generate so much offense for their strikers. So I see Chalmont running away with that one.
A lot of people wanted to see a Chalmont-Ichabod rematch for the third time in Class B. Ichabod goes down, as is Maple Hill, which you alluded to. A lot of upsets this year, huh?
Yeah, a few surprises on both the boys and girls sides. Ichabod Crane, they were the 2 seed. I wasn't too surprised because the way that Ichabod finished the regular season, they lost to Chalmont twice during the regular season, 5-1 and 1-0. That second game was 5-1. I think that might have taken a little wind out of their sails, and they just didn't look the same. But so Bud Alden Clifford, they're a great team. They've been in this situation before. They won the sectional title in 2011, and like we said, Greenville, beating Maple Hill. They played them tough during the regular season, but still, that's a pretty big upside given the fact that Maple Hill is number 1 in the state. And then on the girls' side, on Thursday in the Class A semifinals, Mahonison beats the number 1 seed Scotia, who was also unbeaten heading into that game. Mahonison, the 4 seed. They're going to make their first appearance in the sectional final on Saturday.
Jess Kohler of the Albany Times-Union on the phone with us. Capital Region Sports Saturday brought to you by Mohawk Honda. Jess, the Class AA boys final, Shaker and Ballston Spa. Ballston Spa, a team undefeated in the regular season, a team you've been high on all year. Is this the Scotties to lose in Class AA?
I think so. Boston Spa, they knew they were going to be good heading into the season. I don't know if they expected to be this good. This is the best season that they've had. But they're the top seed. They've certainly earned it. They're number 4 in the state. They're 18-0. They beat Shaker 3-0 in the regular season. But since that game, Shaker has actually won 9 in a row. So they're coming into this game very hot. I saw them last night. They looked very, very good. But Shaker's going to need to stop a number of goal scorers for Boston Spa. And like Chalmont, they don't have a weakness on the field, really. So it's going to be tough for Shaker to beat them. And, I like Boston Spa. I think it'll be a close one, though.
On the girls' side, a number of great players, a number of great performances this year. Give us one player to watch here on the girls' bracket as we move through this weekend.
Marika Contempasis from Niskayuna, she's a senior. She is a great player. She led the league in scoring last year with 22 goals. She has 20 goals again this season. She creates a lot of offense for that team, and they're the number 2 seed. Shen, they're the top seed. They have a really great player in Megan Kavanaugh. She has 14 goals this season, and she's also a very good player for them.
Jess Kohler, Albany Times-Union, breaking down high school soccer playoffs again in full force this weekend. Follow her on Twitter at JKohlerTU. All the information you need to know. Jess, enjoy the games tomorrow. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks, Brady. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Jess. Those games today, actually, Colony High School, 10 a.m. and 12 p.m. they start. So follow Jess on Twitter at JKohlerTU. If you're interested, Section 2 soccer results, she will have them all there for you. Capital Region Sports Saturday brought to you by Mohawk Honda, your number 1 volume dealer in the Capital Region. Good news for Siena basketball this week. The Saints have re-upped their lease with the Times-Union Center, and they will play at the Times-Union Center now through the 2020 season. And that is a huge deal. Athletic Director John Dargenio telling you why.
What's beneficial for Siena is it gives us one of the best, I think, mid-major college venues in the country to play in, and certainly the best in our league.
Having the best facility in your league is a huge deal. When you talk about recruiting is the lifeblood of college athletics. In high school, you're, for lack of a better word, stuck with whatever comes in that year. That's why you get a fluctuation. Some teams and some schools are great for 2-3 years in a row. Then everyone graduates, and then those teams aren't as good again. College athletics relies heavily on recruiting. You can go out and make your own team, go out and find your own guys, and you need what we call in coaching a recruiting niche. And what that means is you need to have something that separates your program from everyone else you're going to recruit against. In some cases, it's financial. Maybe your school is more affordable than other schools. In some cases, it's academic. You've got a unique program that not a lot of other schools in your league offer, which therefore is able to help the student athlete make his decision, because now your school is being able to separate itself on an academic level. But another thing is facilities, and Siena being able to play at the Times-Union Center, that is a huge thing for the program. That's a downtown arena. That is a nice arena that has hosted NCAA tournaments. It's hosted women's NCAA tournaments. It has hosted conference tournaments. It's the site of your conference tournament. It's an opportunity for fan engagement, for your parents, the people who support you, to come out and see you play in a great possible venue. Head coach Jimmy Patsos also recognizes this, and he had this to say earlier this week.
But after you see the beautiful campus and you drive up into Loudonville, et cetera, then you come down to a downtown arena. It's pretty impressive for the recruits to walk in the back and see that.
Absolutely. Absolutely impressive for recruits, for Siena prospective athletes to come in and see that. Again, having the top facility in your league is a big deal for the Saints, and now Siena's going to play the Times Union Center through 2020. I know, Brady, Siena's had this arena for years, and they've been down recently. How is playing there more going to help them? Can you imagine the effect? Can you imagine the effect on the Siena program if they didn't play at the Times Union Center? If they didn't have the TU Center, what would be the state of the Siena program? I don't think you and I want to answer that question. I don't think we want to answer that question. Siena needs the Times Union Center now to keep itself on the map, to keep itself really, really relevant, and to attract those top-level MAC recruits. Okay? Siena's got great fans, and this will allow Siena to keep those great fans and keep that student body engaged by playing at a first-class facility. Capital Region Sports Saturday brought to you by Mohawk Honda, your #1 volume dealer in the Capital Region. I'm your host, Brady Farkas. Happy Halloween. We do this every Saturday, 9 to 10 a.m., right here at 104.5 The Team and streaming at 104.5theteam.com. Section 2 football playoffs last night. We are getting towards Super Bowl time, everybody. Class A, Troy overcomes a 24-8 halftime deficit to beat Queensbury and advance to the Class A Super Bowl. Queensbury had won Class A the last 2 years, and really you're happy for the Flying Horses, but you're kind of sad at how this thing transpired. I'm finding out on Twitter now that Brett Rodriguez, the star running back for Queensbury, was injured with an ankle injury at some point during that game and did not return. He had 5 touchdowns, I believe, in each of the last 2 weeks. So a great player that Queensbury missed for some of that game. And that helped Troy get back into it and then eventually win it. They won that game 42-36. So the Class A Super Bowl, that is one half of it. The other half is Amsterdam. The 6-3 Rams roll previously unbeaten Burnt Hills by a score of 37-7. The Rams and Brian Stanovich, who is our athlete of the week here this week at 1045theteam.com, a great running back, one of the tops in Section 2. A big performance. They beat the Spartans, and that's an upset. Unbeaten Burnt Hills goes down to previously 5-3, now 6-3 Amsterdam. So shows you that's why they play the game. Class A Super Bowl is set. It is Troy and Amsterdam. Capital Region Sports Saturday brought to you by Mohawk Honda. Mohawk Honda is #1, always looking to be #1 in the Capital Region, where they strive for perfection every single day by providing the most impeccable customer service, because they know that's the key to any success. At Mohawk Honda, they try to do things right all the time for their family of customers. Yes, we've told you this before, but it's worth reiterating. They have over 1,000 new and pre-owned vehicles available to select from. Yes, they're open extended hours at all of their departments to better service you. Yes, you can shop 10 acres, more than 10 acres of savings opportunities, or go online 24/7 at MohawkHonda.com. And yes, they will provide you the lowest, no-hassle prices to better suit your budget. A business can have all of that, but without providing the customer with the professional service experience they've always been looking for and deserve, nothing else matters. At Mohawk Honda, they have over 180 trained automotive experts going above and beyond to make sure all your needs are met. You can ask about their Mohawk Honda exchange program. Just ask for Tiffany, Katie, or V-Day and see just how easy it is to exchange your vehicle for the same or lower payment. Shop their convenient Route 50 in Glenville location to join the #1 automotive family at Mohawk Honda, where they always go out of their way to please you. Hey, regardless of the outcome of the World Series, the Mets are destined to be good for a long time. Have we ever seen a rotation quite like this? We ask Major League All-Star Joe Nathan. He joins us next.
It's Capital Region Sports Saturday with Brady Farkas, sponsored by Mohawk Honda.
Oh, we are back. We are on the phone right now. A great guest here to break down the World Series, break down all things baseball. 377 career saves, longtime closer, current member of the Detroit Tigers. It is Joe Nathan. Joe, first and foremost, have to ask, you're coming off Tommy John surgery for the second time. How's the elbow doing? How are you feeling?
Everything feels great. Right now, just right now it's just worrying about health and getting in as good a shape as I can. I've been a few different workouts and just trying to transform myself for when I can do baseball stuff. Just be as prepared as I can and get my body in as good a shape as I can to withstand the load that I'm going to be looking to do come competition time, and trying to get that hooked onto the club and make sure they know and trust that I'm ready to go.
Well, Joe, we are certainly rooting for you to get back to full strength, get healthy, and get back on the mound better than ever in 2016. And, Joe, I know the Mets win last night, so they're only down 2-1 in the series. But by and large, the Royals hitters have really, really frustrated Mets pitching. Noah Syndergaard battled through it yesterday, did a pretty nice job after the first 2 innings. But what have the Royals hitters done with their approach to frustrate this great Mets pitching staff?
They really haven't changed a whole lot from the years. I think the one thing they have done is got more mature. But as far as the way they grind out at bats, they don't give away at bats. They make a starting pitcher work. You have to throw something other than a first pitch fastball because they're aggressive. If you're going to throw a first pitch heater, they will attack that. But for the most part, they're going to make a guy work, especially if there's a guy out there that like the Mets have. They're very deep, so they know they got to try and get into that bullpen as quick as they can. So, as you see later in the game, it pays off when they start putting good swings on the ball. They didn't swing and miss a whole lot, which they don't do. So, I've gotten my fair share of faith in these guys. So, it is a grind every time you get out there, and each guy 1 through 9 has kind of the same mentality. They kind of feed off each other and just grind out at bats and make a pitcher work way harder than they're normally accustomed to.
It's Capital Region Sports Saturday, brought to you by Mohawk Honda, your #1 volume dealer in the Capital Region. On the phone right now, Detroit Tigers pitcher Joe Nathan. Joe, I think regardless, no matter what happens in this series, we know that the Mets have a bright future because of that great pitching staff that they do have. Have you ever seen a group quite like this?
You've seen it before. I think you've seen rotations come into play where people are like, oh, potentially this could be really good. This has the makings of being a really good rotation. And, sometimes they don't pan out. These guys had a great season this year. The one thing you always hope for when you do have a rotation like this, when you have them protected for so long and have them under control for so long, you hope for good health, first of all, especially with power arms. That's always the first worry is, will this guy stay healthy? How many innings do we put on them? How much do we just throw at them at an early stage in their career? But, a lot's going to depend on them and, how they go moving forward, how many stressful innings they have, just how their innings are piled up. So, that's just something to be seen as the future goes forward. So, with these guys, the sky's the limit. I mean, obviously you got, everybody in that rotation could be an ace on somebody else's staff with how they throw. They're throwing upper 90s, sometimes around 100. So, obviously very fun to watch. So, for Met fans, they should be excited, not just for this year and whatever happens this year, great. But they had a great season this year. But moving forward, they're going to be around playoff baseball and see some great games, in the future and hopefully for a long time.
I think a guy that we're all rooting for in this World Series is David Wright. We know about the hard road it's taken him to get back to being able to play, period, throughout the rehab process. You've been through the rehab process. You're going through it now. Just take us behind the scenes. How grueling is this for David Wright just to be able to get out there day in and day out?
Going through the process, it's just more of that daily grind. For me, it's the physical part's not. It's not crazy hard. It's really more mentally than anything to just get up day in and day out and get into the gym. And sometimes it becomes monotonous. It becomes boring. You're doing the same, especially early on in the rehab. You're really limited on what they're going to allow you to do. So it just becomes really monotonous, really boring, and you got to fight yourself mentally to get through that because it is important. Going through all of those things is very important in the process, and each step is. There's not one thing that's less important than the next. So, Even though it may seem very tedious and not like you're getting anything out of it, you just got to treat it as this is the most important thing I'm doing for myself right now. So, that's the tough part. The mental part is definitely the hardest part. But, for me, I mean, you got to get into a rhythm where you just enjoy it. Fortunately for me, I've kind of gotten into that mode where, working out is something I enjoy as much as getting out there on the baseball field. So for me, it's become easy to go through this stuff, and it's helped me to come back. So, hopefully, again, that's what helps me get through it. But for him, I'm pretty sure he always kept his eye on the prize and what he was doing all this work for. And now that he's in the World Series, I think it's obviously worth it tenfold. So, I'm sure he'd go through it again if he had an opportunity to play where he's at right now.
Detroit Tigers pitcher Joe Nathan on the phone with us. Capital Region Sports Saturday brought to you by Mohawk Honda. Joe, I have to ask, look, I'm a baseball nerd, so I got to know, how good is Miguel Cabrera up close and personal day in and day out? I mean, you played with him and you played against him. How good is he?
Outstanding. Not just, everybody knows what he does on the field. That's one thing, but the thing that impresses me the most is his mental approach is second to none. He could be 0 for his last 30, or he could be 29 for his last 30, and you would not know the difference with his mental attitude in the clubhouse, how he is around the guys. He's a kid. He plays his game. He plays it like he's playing Little League. Watching him swing the bat, just so comfortable, so relaxed. Like I said, even when he is in a funk, you wouldn't know it. His each at bat, it seems like, the pitcher's got to work his butt off. He knows at any point that Miguel can hurt him and win a game. So, he doesn't. He's one of those guys that doesn't give away many at bats, and he's got power to boot. So it's one of those rare combinations of a professional hitter that can drive a ball, 450 feet. So he's a rare combination of a good human being, good teammate, and a superstar on the field.
Capital Region Sports Saturday brought to you by Mohawk Honda. On the phone, Detroit Tigers pitcher Joe Nathan, 377 career saves, breaking down the playoffs, talking about the Mets. And Joe, you're going through Tommy John rehab. Best of luck. Get healthy. We want to see you out there better than ever in 2016.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Joe Nathan, there he goes on the phone with us, Capital Region Sports Saturday. Joe Nathan, a member of the Tigers organization for now. They've got a club option on him. Have to imagine they'll probably decline that. Maybe re-sign him, but decline the big number that he's got coming his way if they were to accept that as he goes through Tommy John surgery. Made his mark with the Twins, 377 career saves. You can't argue with that. So a great guest for us here this morning and for you, the listener, on Capital Region Sports Saturday. I'm your host, Brady Farkas. We are sponsored by Mohawk Honda. Nick fan, I know you don't want to hear what I'm about to say. I know you don't want to admit it. You weren't happy in the draft. And Kristaps Porzingis, he's really good. Kristaps Porzingis is really good. And Nick fan, you just need to get over the draft day hate that you had for that number 4 overall selection. And you need to embrace it because Kristaps Porzingis is really good. Knicks have played 2 games. They're 1-1. Remember, we don't expect the Knicks to be a great team this year. Maybe they sneak in to the number 8 seed in the playoffs. I think the Vegas over-under for them was 30.5 wins, if I remember correctly. So people don't expect things of the Knicks. But Kristaps Porzingis has averaged 13 a game, 16 in the opener, 10 in Game 2 against the Hawks. So that's a rookie, double figures in each of his first 2 games. That right there is a good start, is a good omen for Porzingis. Did you see the play he had in Game 2 against Atlanta where he steals the ball at midcourt, dribbles it with his left hand to the sideline, spins back on a perimeter player, and then dribbles to the lane and then throws it down? Porzingis is 7'3". You are not supposed to be able to dribble the ball with your left hand around a guard, spin back to the middle of the court, and then flush it with an emphatic nature that shows Kristaps Porzingis is not your stereotypical, the guy that you think, when you think of European basketball, you think of Vlade Divac, a guy who's not all that athletic, who doesn't look all that coordinated, who's just crafty. Kristaps Porzingis, he can play the finesse game a la Dirk Nowitzki outside, but he is not afraid to go to the rim. I tell you what, I have loved this kid since Summer League. I watched him play 2 to 3 times in Summer League, and I thought to myself immediately, you know what? This kid needs to get stronger. He's real tall. He's real skinny. He needs to get stronger. But he was still going down low. He was going for rebounds. He was playing in the paint. Now, he got pushed off the block a little bit because he needs that physical maturity. But mentally, he's there. He is not afraid to go inside, and that is half the battle. That's half the battle. I know when I was in high school, I was 6'5". They wanted me to play down low. I wanted nothing to do with it. I wanted nothing to do with it. So Kristaps Porzingis, he doesn't have that attitude. He's not just floating around the perimeter. He is down low. He is in the action, and he's willing to get there. And in 2 or 3 years, when he's fully developed physically, he's going to be a presence inside and outside. I think the Knicks got a really good player. Really good player. 7'3", can handle the ball like a guard, can stroke it like a guard, and then is willing to go down low and play the post when needed to. And you're going to create matchup problems. I tell you what, 7'3" down low, that's a matchup problem for a lot of people. You want to put a big, slow, typical post guy on him, he'll take you outside. You want to put a more guard-oriented player or 6'9" type player on him, he'll take you down low and he'll be able to body you up down there. Kristaps Porzingis is a good player. And Knicks fans, you've got to like what you've seen out of him in the first 2 games. I think, and I mentioned his name a second ago, I know you're going to call me crazy. I know you're going to call me crazy because Dirk Nowitzki is probably, I had someone tell me they think the best international player of all time. I know it's unfair to say Kristaps Porzingis is going to be that good, but he reminds me of a more physical Dirk Nowitzki. Maybe not quite as pure a shooter, but he reminds me of a more physical and taller Dirk Nowitzki. I think Kristaps Porzingis is going to be good for the Knicks, even though the Knicks aren't going to be that good for themselves as a whole this year. Capital Region Sports Saturday brought to you by Mohawk Honda, your number 1 volume dealer in the Capital Region. Section 2 football playoffs. Glens Falls beats Ravenna 21-0 in Class B. Ravenna, previously unbeaten. They had just gotten past Chalmont, too, to get a top seed in Class B. And Glens Falls rolls them 21-0, an upset there. So Glens Falls moving on as well. And how about Albany High? It was a crossover game. It wasn't the playoffs, but the Falcons, 39-20 wins over Mohonasen. Coach Joey DiPiazza and his staff, friends of the show, a 2-game win streak. The 2-game win streak for the Falcons. Hey, we've been saying it all year. With the new field they've got at Albany High and this new coaching staff, we think here at 104.5 The Team, I think that Albany High is going to be really good really soon, and they are proving me right now. Okay, I don't know if Albany High is going to win 8 games next year or whatever and be in the Section 2 Class AA Super Bowl, but I think Albany High, they've won 2 games already. They've got another crossover against Averill Park next week. I think Albany High can win 3-4 games next year in Class AA. I really do. I think Albany High has all the pieces in place to be successful, and they're showing it right now. They're looking to be number 1, just like Mohawk Honda, where they go out of their way to please you by providing impeccable customer service. Over 1,000 new and pre-owned vehicles available to select from. Open extended hours in all their departments to better service you. You can shop over 10 acres of savings opportunities or online 24/7 at MohawkHonda.com. They'll provide you the lowest, no-hassle prices to better suit your budget. You can ask about their Mohawk Honda exchange program through any of their Mohawk exchange specialists. Ask for Tiffany, Katie, or V-Day just how easy it is to exchange your vehicle for the same or lower payment. And if new isn't for you, they inventory over 300 of the highest quality pre-owned vehicles, all at one low, below market value, no hassle price. Being number 1 isn't easy, but at Mohawk Honda, they treat their customers with respect and have been doing so for almost 100 years. That's 4 generations of the Harridan family serving the Capital Region. Shop their convenient Route 50 in Glenville location to join the number 1 automotive family at Mohawk Honda, where they always go out of their way to please you. The guy that needs to step up for the Mets tonight in Game 4, I'll tell you who it is next.
Region Sports Saturday with Brady Farkas, sponsored by Mohawk Honda.
Halloween edition, Capital Region Sports Saturday, brought to you by Mohawk Honda. Mets Game 4 tonight. They trail the Royals 2-1 in this World Series. The key for the Mets tonight is not Daniel Murphy. It is not David Wright. It is not Juris Familia in the bullpen. It is the starting pitcher, Steven Matz. Steven Matz is the starting pitcher tonight for the Mets. Game 4, he gets the ball. The rookie, the hometown kid from Long Island, pitching in front of friends and family on the biggest stage possible. Justin Andrews, News Channel 10, he is there at Citi Field now, and he gave his thoughts on Matz.
He's a tremendous kid. He's from the area. I got to think that, again, everything's coming up Mets right now for the fans in their minds because he's a local boy from Stony Brook. He's driving from his home there to the game today. So you got to think that Steven Matz is going to have a tremendous game.
Justin Andrews, News Channel 10, thinks Steven Matz is going to have a tremendous game. He's the key for the Mets tonight. The young kid, how will he respond playing in front of that pressure, in front of the hometown faithful on the biggest stage possible? I tell you what he's got to do is he's got to try to keep those emotions in check. He needs a good first inning. Noah Syndergaard overcame a shaky first inning yesterday and a shaky second inning. That's what made that even more impressive. Steven Matz cannot get down early today for the Mets. He needs to establish his fastball, he needs to establish the strike zone, and he needs to establish his secondary pitches. That's a lot to ask for a rookie, a guy who hasn't had that much experience in the major leagues this year, who spent some time on the DL as well. But Steven Matz has championship pedigree appearance, or has a championship pedigree. He had appearances for Binghamton last year as they won the AA title. So Steven Matz has been in a championship setting before. He's trying to keep the Mets off the mat here, 2-1. If he can get it to 2-2, I tell you what, anything can happen. Steven Matz, the key tonight for the Mets. He needs to keep that bullpen for the Mets, the bullpen that we're a little leery of. He needs to keep them on the, he needs to keep them in the bullpen as that bridge to Jeurys Familia, who's the guy that we really can count on down there. Steven Matz can go out and get a quality start, 6 innings or more, 3 earned runs or less. I think the Mets have a good chance to win. So, the Mets, 2-1, not a must-win tonight. Yesterday was a must-win, not a must-win tonight, but certainly they're going to need, if they come out and play well and make it a 2-2 game, it is a whole different ball game. RPI, Union battling tonight, Houston Fieldhouse. It's Capital Region Sports Saturday, brought to you by Mohawk Honda, your #1 volume dealer in the Capital Region. On the phone, Union College hockey player, sophomore Ryan Scarfo. Ryan, just a sophomore, what did you learn from your freshman year that you've now brought into this weekend in this rivalry?
Well, I think it's huge for both teams. Obviously, anytime you get into a situation against RPI, it's going to be a good game. It's going to be a battle, and everything's important. Both teams are getting up for the games. The crowds are into it. All the coaches, all the players, whatever it is, everybody's into it. So it's just a great time, and, I'm really looking forward to it again.
Ryan, you saw these guys last night, but what's the key tonight for you guys to come out and get points?
I think we have to play union hockey for 60 minutes. One of the things we preach is work ethic and consistency, and if we can do those for 60 minutes, I think we'll be all right. We'll play to our strengths, chip the puck in, play the body, and that's when we're good. So if we can do that and get some pressure low and build off of our defense and our defensive zone, then we'll be okay.
Ryan, you guys played the Engineers last night. You're going to play them tonight. You're going to see them later on in the season. This weekend is part of the ECAC conference schedule. Later in the year, non-conference game. Pretty unique to play the same opponent 3 times in the regular season, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, most teams are only twice, so I guess we're lucky to get them 3 times. And, like I said just a few minutes ago, it's always a great game, so to have another one against those guys is awesome.
You hail from Massachusetts. You had a goal and an assist against number 3 Boston University earlier in the year. Did that have a little more meaning for you, being from Boston, being able to beat those guys?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's always a proud moment when you come from there and you get to play a team like BU, who I watched growing up my whole life. But at the same time, it's just like any other game, And luckily, we were able to get the victory, so that's the most important thing.
Union College sophomore hockey player Ryan Scarfo with us, Capital Region Sports Saturday, brought to you by Mohawk Honda. Ryan, you guys haven't left the Capital Region for all of October. Every single game has been at home. This game tonight at RPI, practically across the street, will be your first road game. What's it been like being able to stay in the Capital Region and being able to play so many games at home here in the season's first month?
I think it's always nice when you don't have to get on the bus and get traveling. It just kind of makes it easier in terms of school and, just on yourself, obviously, because you're not traveling on the road or in a hotel. You're in your own bed and, you're comfortable here. So at the same time, though, it's kind of nice to get on the road and see a different atmosphere. So
we're getting on the road in a couple weeks, but that should be fun.
I talked to Chris Bradley from RPI earlier, asked him the same question I'm going to ask you. You guys have played a very, very challenging schedule here early on. How has that prepared you here for this upcoming or for this upcoming ECAC season?
I think it can only be helpful for us. Obviously, we have some great teams that came to Schenectady so far, which is not only good for us hockey-wise, but it's just a great thing to be a part of, having teams like Michigan and BU come in and help us get prepared for ECAC play, because every game is going to be important, and we're going to have to, play our best early on to get those points, because, like I said, they're huge, and, they're important no matter what the situation is.
It's Capital Region Sports Saturday, brought to you by Mohawk Honda. On the phone, Union College hockey player Ryan Scarfo. Ryan, you're a sophomore, so last year you come in and Union has just won the national championship. Did you feel any pressure coming into the team and being part of the team that was forced to have the task of defending the national title?
I think no matter which way you slice it, there's a little bit of pressure maybe, but that's not what we tried to do as a team. We didn't try to look at it that way. But obviously last year, we did some things that we didn't want to do and we weren't happy with. So ultimately for this year, it's improving on those things, and I like the group that we have this year, and we're going to keep getting better each and every day. So that's our goal right now, and we're focused on the RPI Engineers this weekend. So
Union hockey forward Ryan Scarfo, sophomore, with us. Capital Region Sports Saturday, brought to you by Mohawk Honda. Union taking on RPI tonight, the second game of the conference opening doubleheader against the Engineers. Ryan, best of luck out there on the road tonight in a hostile barn. Good luck. We'll talk to you soon.
Hey, thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
There he goes, Ryan Scarfo, Union hockey player. Union looking to overcome the 5-1 loss last night at the hands of the Engineers. That loss was at home at Mesa Rink, now on the road at Houston Fieldhouse. So a tough task for the Dutchman here. And you don't want to fall to 0-2 in conference play, ECAC play opening up. A tough matchup for both those teams starting conference play with each other. Capital Region Sports Saturday brought to you by Mohawk Honda, your number one volume dealer in the Capital Region. Good news for Siena basketball. Troy native, Troy high school graduate Javion Oganyemi proved eligible, now ruled eligible immediately to play for the Saints. There had been some questions. He actually transferred out of Siena, had taken some summer classes, I believe, at his new institution, came back to Siena, so he had not started the school year at that new institution, but had taken some summer classes. The NCAA rules him eligible, so that's good news for Jimmy Patsos and the company over with the Saints. They're going to get their premier big man back this season, and immediately he is eligible. Union RPI today, Houston Fieldhouse. I'll be at the RPI viewing party at the Recovery Room in Troy, 4:30 to 6:30. Come on down. We've got giveaways, we've got prizes, and it's just going to be a great environment to be a part of. One of the best rivalries in the Capital Region and one of the best rivalries in all of college hockey. Thank you to Jess Kohler of the Times Union. Thank you to Joe Nathan, who joined us. Chris Bradley, RPI hockey player. Ryan Scarfo, Union hockey player. Mets, Royals, game 4 tonight. Be watching for Steven Matz. How he starts early is critical. You can hear it. 104.5 the team. We've got the first pitch for you, 8 o'clock. Armin and Levac back on Monday, 3 to 7, breaking down week 8 of the NFL season. Big games for the Giants against the Saints, the Jets in Oakland against the Raiders. We'll see you next Saturday, Capital Region Sports Saturday.